Important thing is you're all right. Good health, the most important thing. More than success, more than money, more than power.
50 years ago, The Godfather Part II was just hitting theaters nationwide. The Oscar-winning film catapulted an unlikely newcomer to movie stardom, Lee Strasberg. His success came from a trademark method of preparation, still an influence in the acting world, even decades after his death, thanks to Lee Strasberg's Institute, with campuses in Los Angeles and New York City. Its alum include dozens of Hollywood and Broadway stars. Our team was invited inside the Institute to learn more about the Method Man.
You go through the whole body, inch by inch, relaxing each part of the body.
It may look like these acting students are exhausted, but class has just begun.
And just let everything go. You're breathing and relaxing. We examine ourselves. It's a lot about a self-examination, self-reflection. Where do I hold my tension?
Lola Cohen teaches at the Strasberg Institute in New York.
We ask the students to make a list. How am I like the character? How am I different from the character? When you're different from the character, you have to supply a reality that will reveal the inner life or the psychology of the character.
To supply that inner life, Institute founder Lee Strasberg developed a training program based on the work of Russian theater great Konstantin Stanislavski, known simply as the Method. But what is method acting?
So method acting is using your own experience to be truthful and alive in the moment. That's it.
Lee's son David is the Institute's artistic director.
I do think there are special talents in the world, but I also think that anyone who follows the process will get better as an actor. You can actually train muscle memory that responds really, really fast and consistently.
Dozens of stars studied Strasberg's method at the Institute, from Scarlett Johansson and Lady Gaga to Chris Evans and Miles Teller.
I think there's a lot of approaches and techniques and ways to teach acting, but for me, this was the right approach.
You're late. Highway was jammed with broken heroes on a last chance power drive.
Michael Imperioli, perhaps best known for his Emmy-winning turn as Christopher Moltisanti on The Sopranos, began his career at the Institute.
You're not a method actor just because you're staying in character all day. A method actor is someone who's trying to make these imaginary circumstances real.
He knew how to get any actor or actress working on themselves.
Dominique Chianese co-starred with Imperioli on the show.
You may run North Jersey, but you don't run your Uncle Junior.
Hyman Roth always makes money for his partners.
And played a key role in The Godfather Part II, Johnny Ola, the right-hand man to Lee Strasberg's Hyman Roth.
Working with him was really wonderful because he was very supportive of me as an actor.
It was his first time on the big screen.
I always knew where my cue was on the stage, but on the film, somebody forgot to tell me to make an entrance.
We never met. Johnny Ola.
I expected somebody to say, we're going to do the scene now. All of a sudden, I hear screaming out, "Where the hell is Johnny Ola?" They had to do the whole thing over again. And Pacino has a sense of humor. When they finally did the scene, he said, "Dominic, that was some entrance."
Though Chianese wasn't the only latecomer.
The sort of cherry on the sundae in Godfather Part II, of course, is that Lee Strasberg makes his film debut.
This is the business we've chosen. I didn't ask. Who gave the order?
So you actually see the great teacher of method acting himself act on camera for the first time.
Isaac Butler is author of The Method, How the 20th Century Learned to Act. We met at New York's iconic bookstore, The Strand, one of Strasberg's favorite hangouts. Is there any film more tied to The Method than The Godfather Part II?
Both of the first two Godfather movies are incredibly important to the history of method acting. All the pieces come together in those films.
The cast was led by Strasberg's protege, Al Pacino, and his contemporary Robert De Niro, as well as Marlon Brando, who took the method mainstream in the 1950s.
I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
This is a revolution taking place on cam. And there were a series of people around who were able to say, I could tell you how he did that and I can teach you how to do it.
Many thought Brando was taught by Strasberg at the Actor Studio, the elite workshop he led for decades before starting the Institute.
The only requirement for membership in the Actor Studio is talent.
But the Don was the disciple of a rival guru, Stella Adler. She and Strasberg had both been students of Stanislavski.
Strasberg's approach is you're going to dig deep into yourself, you're going to find the truth within yourself through a bunch of exercises and work, and it's going to come out. Stella Adler's is let's look at the text. Let's look at research into how the character would have lived, their external reality and stuff like that. Let's combine that, and then yourself will elevate to fill this vessel that you have filled.
Those personal truths continue to be seen in the Godfather series.
So my dad was an immigrant, and my dad came here on a boat, like probably in steerage, right? As like a 6, 7-year-old boy through Ellis Island. They used to check you for like diseases and all this kind of stuff, and I guess my dad had pink eye, right? You know, the infection, which is highly contagious. And they drew an X on his back.
Nurse.
And they took him away from his mom. You know, you're 7 years old, don't speak the language in New York. And some man, who, I'll get emotional every time I think about it, some man who we will never know who he is, what he looks like, saw him, saw his mom, and went, and wiped off the X off his back and pushed him back over to his mom, right? It's like, but for that, there's no Lee Strasberg.
More than 4 decades since his death, the Lee Strasberg legacy lives on.
All of this is geared towards creating a character, even though it seems like separate work.
You're carrying the torch.
I am.
For this next generation.
Right.
Why did you decide you were going to be a standard bearer?
I fell in love with the work. I was mesmerized by the work. That's it. That's it. It's thrilling to watch students blossom and bloom after having, you know, me making a judgment call that they have no talent, which I never do anymore because you never know when talent is revealed.
And there it is. But really, the proof is in the pudding. Think about it. Charlize Theron, Jack Nicholson, Hilary Swank, Dustin Hoffman, Natalie Portman, Robert De Niro, all Oscar winners. But I love what Michael Imperioli said. He's like, look, if it works for you, use it.
Right.
And the method is like his means.
As a former theater kid, you always heard about it. It was such a cool piece, Michelle.
Thank you. And you can stream the entire Godfather saga on Paramount Plus. How about that?